show where I try to educate real stories.
Thank you for watching Truth and Justice with Vivian King. Tonight we're going to have part 2 of the Eddie Houston story. Eddie Houston says that he was wrongfully convicted of a murder of an off-duty police officer who was in the Fifth Ward area. He happened to be a white guy in the Fifth Ward area who took up with a prostitute in the area. He ended up being found dead in his truck. This was many, many years ago. And we've gone through his story. So please watch his story on YouTube. We have put that story on there. All you have to do is go to Truth and Justice with Vivian King, Eddie Houston. Put his name in and it'll come up. But tonight, because Eddie spent 36 years in prison from the age of 34 years old to 70 years old, we want to talk about life in prison for 36 years. He has a lot to tell you. So I want to just get started. I also have my co-host, Danny Sneed, in the studio tonight. Danny knows a lot about prison. He works with the prison ministry at our church, St. John's United Methodist Church, with Path to Freedom. And he's also spent a little time in the prison system, 3 times.
Couple of times,
totaling about 15 years. So, totaling about 15 years. So he does know something, a little bit about it, but not anything like 30.
I could have got a job there.
You could have worked there?
I had a lot of experience.
Okay. Well, luckily you're working with veterans. So we want to just get into it with Eddie. So I know it's been a long time. Eddie Houston, I know you know a lot about the prison system. I don't know where you began. I know at 34, you'd never been to prison before. So tell me about that experience, if you can start from the beginning.
Yes. Once I was convicted and sentenced, it took them about a month to ship me to the diagnostic unit in Huntsville, Texas. At the time, that's where all inmates would come to be classified. We went through different kind of procedures.
What year was that?
1980.
Reagan was in office, and he got shot that year, or soon after.
He got shot in 81. I was back on a bench warrant at the time. And we went to diagnostic unit, and they would classify you, give you all kind of tests to determine which unit they wanted to send you to. And I was being classified, and this young white boy, he came back from being classified, and they said, they're going to send him to the East Ham unit. And he was afraid. He said, I don't want to go back to the East Ham unit. I'm going to cut myself. So I'm wondering, this is a white boy, and he don't want to go back to the East Ham unit and cut himself. So it kind of stuck in my mind why he didn't want to go back to the East Ham unit. So after my 30 days, they normally keep you there for 30 days, and then they ship you out. And once my 30 days was over, I went in and they told me that it was going to ship me to the East Ham unit.
Oh my goodness.
So when I got there, it was strange. It's a culture shock. It's a brand new world. It's a different world than from what people used to out here in the free world, so-called free world. It's a different thing. So when I got there, it was a lot of noise and people was coming in and out and they was lining us up and calling our names out, and we lined up, and then once we identified ourselves, they ran us into a shower area and sprayed disinfectant on us to get rid of the body bugs. And then after that, they cut your hair, and then they do whatever necessary to be done. And then they shipped me, again, like I say, they shipped me to the East Ham unit. And once I got there, I knew quite a few people from the streets, and they knew me. And they had heard I was there, and they came around and got me, took me to shower that evening. And where they took me to shower, it was a shower area where the turnkeys and bill attendants and whatnot, the police, the prison guards, so to speak, prisoner, correctional prison guards, and it was quiet in there, and I showered and left out. But then the field work, the next morning I had to go to work in the fields. I'd never worked in the fields in my life. So this was something new to me. And at that time, thank God, they was allowing newcomers there to work a half a day and not all day. And I heard stories that once before Ruiz took over, that you would have to leave the building before that morning and run to work.
Damn.
And when you get to work, you have to go to work. But when I got there, you were going to work on a trailer, and you didn't have to work all day for the first week that you were there. You worked a half a day. But after that, then you had to work all day.
Now tell me what kind of work you had to do.
It's called field work.
Whole squad.
Yeah.
Tell me what field work is.
Field work is when you leave out of the building, you go out in the fields, and it depends on the season that you're in. Either you picking cotton, pulling cotton, or you flat weeding. Flat weeding is when they put you out in an area where it's a lot of grass, and when you get done in that area, no grass. It's nothing but ground.
So you cutting the grass with the
what they call a hoe.
the hoe,
It's
the
a hoe.
old-fashioned hoe,
the garden hoe.
the little garden hoe.
But they call it an aggie in prison, and you couldn't. You lined up, but how many of us in the squad? You lined up across, and you got a tail row and a lead row, and then you got everybody in the middle. So when I got there, being a new person, they threw me in the middle, which they call the swing, and that's where all the hard work is, because you have to. And when you going in that line, they want you to keep that line straight, and they don't want you to leave no grass. And if you going and they see the boss sitting on the horse watching you, if you see some grass, you have the whole squad to turn around and come back. And, get to one spot of grass was missed. And the inmates, they didn't like to turn around and come back. So whoever was the person who was responsible for them having to turn back, they didn't too much like that, like him. So you had to watch yourself, especially if you was slacking. And so you wouldn't have to get jumped on or beat on. So one day, like I say, myself, not, used to that kind of work, and we had done flat weeding. We was going down a cotton row, chopping grass on a cotton row. So they had a guy a tail row guy, one of them beat 'em up kind of guys. He came and asked me, had I ever been to prison before? So I told him no, which I hadn't. But if you have been to prison a couple of times and you getting stuck out, can't keep up with the work, well then they'll probably jump you. Once you get in that evening, you'd have to stand on the side you'd have to stand up all night. You couldn't go to the house. You stand up all night, and then the next morning you'd have to come out and go to work without even sleeping. So I told him, that this was my first time. So he said, oh, okay, and went on back. So evidently he wasn't told the boss about it. But pretty soon I was
So did you get punished?
no.
Since you were new, you didn't get punished for slacking?
No, I didn't get punished because they, my first time there, they, figured, say, well, he's not trying to, pull a fast one on us. So I kept working, and pretty soon I became a tail row. So I didn't have to concern myself with none of that anymore, being jumped or anything like that. But I did have a couple of fights while I was out there in the field. And one fight was with a white guy. He, I guess he didn't like the pace that I was coming up. They was giving me a job, and I hadn't been there that long. They was giving me, I guess he wanted to be a tail row or whatever. So he didn't like it. So I walked behind him, behind the line, and I said something to somebody, and he turned around and he tried to hit me with his Aggie. He raised his Aggie back
Oh
to
my
hit me.
God.
I had mine. I raised mine up like this, and his Aggie hit mine and broke my Aggie in two.
Mm.
Yeah, so, and then we had a fight, and he bent down. He quit. He didn't want no more. But,
He didn't want no more.
no, but I wanted to hit him with my Aggie, but that was a punishment.
Yeah.
Fighting with a weapon. So I didn't hit him. I let him make it, and then the next time, they had squads. We got different squads, and they with these Aggies, the Aggies are color coded, so they'll know which squad they were in and whatnot. And those Aggies, when you get them, some of them are short, they're dull, and it's hard to cut grass or do anything with them. And you want your Aggie to be sharp. And me being tall, I needed a long handle on mine, so I had a pretty short handle, but it was all right. And I kind of appreciated it but I was looking for another one. So one morning we turned out and rode to the workplace, and we jumped off the trailer, and I'm looking for my Aggie, and it was blue. Our Aggies was blue, and I'm looking for it, and I can't find it. And I looked up, and I saw it in another squad. So I told the boss, I said, "Say, boss, I can't find my Aggie." He said, "Well, do you see it?" I said, "Yes, sir, I see it." He said, "Well, go get it."
Uh-oh.
So I had to go get it.
Oh, you had to go start something then. Huh?
Well, I had to go get it. I couldn't just let him take it. So I had to go get it, because that's a sign of weakness when you let somebody do something like that. So I went to get it, and we got into a fist fight, and it lasted a pretty good minute there. And that's the first time I ever been in a fight where my arms got tired.
Dang, y'all had a real fight.
Oh, yes, we had a real fight.
Yeah, you fought till your arms got tired.
Yeah, couldn't lift them.
Dang.
Yeah.
Well, at least you didn't fight with the hoe that time.
No, because that was
A violation.
You can get shot.
Yeah.
Oh, they can shoot you for doing that?
Oh, yeah. You can get a write-up for it. And, I didn't want no write-ups. My mindset was to get out of there as quick as possible, and while I was there, take care of my business, trying to clear my name. I wasn't concerned with no other kind of politics, prison politics, or anything of that nature. My sole purpose was to work, go to the law library, find a way to get out of there, and just keep on stepping. So in this one, I got accustomed to the field work pretty good, so that wasn't a problem anymore. But before I became accustomed to it, that first day when I had to work all day, I was so tired. When I finally got to the trailer, I just fell back and just stretched out. Didn't have no more energy, no energy at all. So when we get to my housing assignment, I was housed on the third row. And when they say heat rise to the top, better believe heat rise to the top. So I was on the top bunk on the third row.
There's no AC in prison.
No AC. And I couldn't sleep. I was so tired and so hot. So I didn't get no sleep. I had to turn around that next morning when the horn blew for work. I had to turn around and jump and go and get it. But that was my experience in prison.
So how many years did you work in the field?
I did about, all told, I did about 6 months. First, when I was on East Ham, I worked, it was coming pretty close to getting Christmas time, and they were giving out jobs, and they gave me a job working in the laundry. And I wasn't in the laundry long before I had to come back on bench warrant. So I think I came back on bench warrant in February or March of '81. And after I got there, I stayed in about 4 months in the county jail because I was trying to get a new trial based on the information that Leroy Etchich had given them. And I was trying to get a new trial. So they shipped me back to East Ham, and they shipped me back to the field. So I stayed there in the fields again for about a month. And by me being a first timer and they was dismantling the Billington system, and they trying to put all first-timers together with all first-timers. So they shipped me from East Ham unit in Lovelady, Texas, to the Wallace Pack unit in Grimes County. And they shipped me there, and I think I stayed over there for about 29 years.
Called Wallace what?
Wallace Pack,
Wallace Pack. And where is that at?
Navasota, Texas, Grimes County.
And you stayed there for 29 years?
29 years.
Wow. So you stayed there longer than almost anybody.
Yes. Yes, I did.
What changes did you see during that time? I mean, I know a lot changed in 29 years.
Yeah, a lot changed. You know, they got rid of the Billington system, and things started, you know, like I said, when I first got there, they had these cells, and they had 2 bunks, and they had 6 men to cell, 4 people on the floor and 1 in each bunk. And when you would go to the shower, they would run out of towels, and they would throw you a shirt or a pair of underwear or something like that to dry off with. And food was bad. And food pretty much stayed bad, but it got better over the years. And the changes that was made, they tried to protect inmates more going forward, but you know, that's pretty much impossible. You know, people was, you know, violating people, and they were allowing it to happen.
Violating people in what way?
Sexually.
So would people violate people sexually gang style or individually?
Sometimes gang style and sometimes an individual. You know, they would play tricks with them and, you know, give them a commissary, loan them commissary, and if you didn't pay it back at a certain amount of time, then they would use that as a tool. Yes, so it's...
Now, would the violations be such that you heard about it, you see it? Was it like open, or was it like a secret thing that happened late at night when everybody's supposed to be asleep?
Oh, it happens all the time, during the day, during the night. You know, it just all depends.
But I mean, did other people witness it?
Yeah, if it's not just hour and hour rape, if it's 2 people that want to be together, then yeah, they didn't mind. You know, they'd be under the cover in the bunks. Okay. But if they were violating, then they probably would wait tonight, you know, to do that.
So if 2 people want to be, I mean, but if it's 6 people in the cell, how does that happen?
No, it wasn't 6 people in the cell anymore.
Okay, it changed to just 2 people in the cell.
That's part of the changes.
That's part of the changes that happened.
They started making units, building units where they had dorms where they had you just walk inside it was wide open, and then you just walk in. They had kind of like stalls. Yeah, cubicles.
Cubicles.
Right. Cubicles. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
But they still had gates on them, right?
No, so it's like a gym with bunks put in them and partitions put between each bunk.
Oh, so this open, so people are just wide open, like in a big room.
Right, like right. We call them dorms, and they fit a lot of people in them. But it's open, so everybody can see each other. No bars.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so the AIDS epidemic happened in the 80s. So you went in 80. I think I first started hearing about, I graduated from college in 80, but I think I started hearing about AIDS in like, I can't remember if it was 83 or 85.
85, because I was in the military, and that's when they started educating us on the dangers of it. They started giving us trainings. At least that's been my experience, 85, 84, 85.
What about in prison?
Oh yeah, it was there. It was there, and you could pretty much look at the person and tell whether or not they had contracted AIDS because they was so small and their eye sockets was, you know, sort of. And then people would tell you, you know, that this person and that person has AIDS, you know, and you sort of shied away from them because you didn't want to get infected.
Right, and I'm sure at first, I know when I first heard about it, people really didn't know how you got it. So you might want to not want to drink a straw behind somebody if you went to a restaurant because
Exactly.
everybody was real scared until we learned more about it and
Exactly.
how it was actually contracted.
Exactly.
All you just knew was people started dying everywhere.
Yeah, they used to separate them from the general population when it came time to shower. They wouldn't let them shower with the general population. They tried to wash their clothes and stuff separately.
Okay, well that was good. Was it a lot? Did you see a lot of deaths from AIDS? Did they send them to a certain prison, or just a certain side of this prison?
They sent them to a certain prison, a medical facility.
They had a hospice
Yeah.
in TDC where
Where was it?
I want to say in Galveston,
I was in Huntsville.
Huntsville,
Yeah.
but it was a unit where they housed. It's another prison, but it's a ward for the people that.
Were dying.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did any of your friends die like that?
No, none of my friends passed away like that.
Did you have other friends that died other ways, like through a fight or got stabbed or shot?
No, I didn't have any friends that got stabbed or shot or anything of that nature. But I've seen a lot of people die, but
What was usually the cause?
they never would tell us what the cause was. They just,
Would they be sick?
no, they just
End up dead.
end up dead.
How did you stay alive?
Through the grace of God, that's all I can say. But like I say, I didn't get involved in any of that stuff. I pretty much stayed to myself because I had one goal in mind, and that was clearing my name, and I couldn't do that getting involved in other folks' business or treating prison like it's the free world. I didn't do that. I kept working because it was mandatory that you work. If you didn't work, they would lock you up. So I worked and went to the law library.
What type of work did you do those 29 years?
I was a clerk. And
What does that mean? What's a clerk do?
I kept books. I kept records. Everything that I was a clerk in necessities. And I kept records of boots, socks, shorts, clothes, toothbrush, anything you can think of, I had to keep a record of it.
And that was a real good job. The clerk at the work in necessity, because they were always in the office. You had an office, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I worked in the office with my supervisor, and he was very protective of me because I did his work.
I know that's right.
And I had an incident with an officer. My supervisor, he didn't work on weekends, and I worked 7 days a week. And on the weekend, we worked Saturdays and Sundays and holidays. We worked a short shift. But when he wouldn't work on weekend, he would tell me what he wanted done, and I would get it done. And I had this officer, I didn't know he was jealous because of that. I never knew that. But one day I was in the office and I heard my name called over to the intercom. And when your name is called over the intercom, it's either you got an infraction, they've written you up, or you finna get moved. So I wondering what they're calling me to. The desk for. I haven't done anything, so I told my supervisor, so they called me to the desk. I'm going to see what they want with me. So I got to the desk and they said, well, you got a job change. I said, job change? So I came back and I told him, I said, you got a job change? He said, yeah. He said, give me that paper. They give you a slip of paper when you job change, your housing assignment. So he said, give me that paper. So I gave it to him and he went up there and he stayed up there a while and he come back and he said, well, yeah, they changed your job and ain't nothing I can do about it. He said, but this warden is going out. And so when the new warden come in, I'll get you back. So they changed my job to food service. So I went to food service and they made me a clerk over there. And that I stayed over there for about a week. And then when the new warden came, they called me back, and I came back, and I was working in necessities. And this particular officer, he came in off of vacation, and he came in and he saw me, and he said, I noticed his eyes got real big, and he turned around and went right back out. And next thing I know, they calling me again.
You get a
You're moved, getting moved.
So that officer must have been higher than the one you were working for.
Huh? No. He wasn't higher than the one I was working for. This guy I was working for,
Why couldn't he keep you there then? I don't understand how someone else could get you moved.
Well, he had told the warden that I wasn't working. I was sitting back there selling clothes and doing this and doing, all the other type of thing, and wasn't working. So they frowned on, you selling food or selling clothes. So the administration frowned on that. So that's what helped got me moved. So they moved me to the food service, and I stayed there until they shipped me to a private prison in Diboll, Texas. And they shipped me there in 2013. And that's where I stayed until I was released in 2016.
What'd you have to do in Diboll?
I was a clerk in the general library.
So did you ever stay with anybody that was going to be on death row or was like famous for killing somebody? You know how sometimes people are in there for murder, but it was all on TV and the news.
Well,
did you ever stay with anybody that was the subject of a lot of news?
Well, when I was first arrested in Houston, they housed me on the 6th floor of the Harris County Jail, and it was called the death row because everybody that was in that area, 6, 7 cells, everybody in that area had a capital case. And it was a couple of people I was in jail with that cases was pretty high profile. A couple of them, one of them, he came from, can't think of where he came from, and they had this other guy, Clark Wilkerson, he was there. And had a black guy, can't think of his name, and he had set a house afire and burned quite a few kids up. And he was up there, so it was...
And what did Clark Wilkerson do?
He was part of guys that killed this guy that Clarence Walker was talking about. They took him in and then buried him. The jewels took him and buried him in China, Texas. And then, and just had this other guy from Kentucky. White guy from Kentucky. We became good friends while he was up there, named Charles Bass. He came from Kentucky, and he was burglarizing one night, and he was walking down the street, and a police stopped him, and they got into an argument, and he killed him. And they gave him the death penalty. Yeah. Later on, about a couple of years later, they executed him. But he always thought he was right.
For killing a cop?
Because he said...
Self-defense?
Yeah.
What did the cop do to him?
Cop got out of the car with him, and he said started arresting him and jumped him. And he killed him, shot him.
He did it in Texas, though, even though he was from Kentucky.
Right. Yeah, he did it in Texas. So he always claimed it was self-defense.
And what was his name?
Charles Bass.
Charles Bass. And where were you in prison with him?
No, I was in Harris County Jail.
Harris County Jail, okay.
You got an amazing memory.
He does have an amazing memory. To remember all those details, I can't remember half of that.
Well, there's a lot of stuff I can't remember, but I remember that, yes.
You got any jail topics you want to discuss with him?
Well, no, I was just listening to him tell in real time how that experience is from diagnostics. And when he said diagnostics, I don't think I can hear in my mind. They keep diagnostics real clean, like the floors are really, really waxed. And I just remember how clean it was. it wasn't what prison was going to be, a diagnosis.
Exactly.
And so it give you the wrong impression of what you're getting ready to get into. And I remember they had a SSI, which is a prisoner that walks up and down the aisle. He's hot water, because back then they would sell you coffee grounds, but we didn't have ways to heat water in the cells. So they would actually bring you hot water to your cell and pour hot water in your cup. That's how you would drink really lukewarm.
Because I was gonna say, because hot water gets cold, a lukewarm
You're
real
absolutely
fast.
right. So I'm going
I mean,
to
as soon as-
add context that the hot water
It's not
doesn't
really
stay
hot.
until the first guy, when he comes on,
He might get some hot
he
water.
may get some hot water by the time you get it.
Yeah,
But
Yeah, there was a lot of lukewarm coffee drinkers.
and the thing about the violent part is, it's a different society, much like this society.
Can you hold that thought? I hear there's a phone call waiting. So, caller, you're on.
Hello, how you guys doing? First time caller, long time listener. Thank you guys for having this amazing guest on. And just wanted to ask, like, with all the time that you were incarcerated for, what were you actually looking to do when you were released from prison? Like, was it food? What did you want to go to the zoo? What did you look forward to, and did you actually do it?
Well, what I looked forward to was walking by the water, just being alone by the water and just alone with my thoughts. But I was unable to do that. When I got out, I thought I was going to be able to just move around unimpeded, but much to my surprise, they put a monitor on me. And they shouldn't have put a monitor on me, because when I got arrested and convicted, that law didn't apply to me. I was on a different law, but they did. So I didn't complain about it, because my biggest goal and desire to clear my name and be exonerated.
How long did you wear the monitor?
About a year.
So let me ask you this. So how did wearing the monitor stop you from walking by the water?
Well, because I had to fill out a list of where I was going to go.
Oh, okay.
In advance, 7 days a week.
Wow.
And I couldn't just be going anywhere.
Right.
And when I was at home on the weekends, I couldn't go anywhere.
Lockdown. Of course, not to try to steal his story, but I also, when I was released, wore the monitor for 18 months. And so when you're on parole, you report once a month. When you're on a monitor, you report weekly. And you have to give a schedule to the parole officer of where you intend to go the week in advance. And it has to be approved. To go to church on Sundays, it took me about almost a year to get approved just to go to St. John's. And they gave me a timeline. I could be out from 10 a.m. and had to be back by 1 p.m.
Wow.
on Sundays.
I was coming from, when I when I got out, my son, my nephew, and right there, Warren, he and my son came and they picked me up and brought me back to Houston. And it was in August, and in January, he got killed in a one-car accident. And I was coming from his funeral, and we had to stop I had to do all that, let him know that I was going to the funeral, where the funeral was. And we was coming back from the funeral, and the person I was riding with was about to run out of gas, and they stopped to get some gas, and my phone rang. It was a parole officer saying, why did I make that stop?
Because you had the monitor on.
Yeah, because it wasn't on my list. It wasn't on my schedule.
And so they knew where you were.
Right.
GPS tracking.
Yeah, so I told him, I don't have any control over this person not having a
Full
tank of gas,
gas,
full tank of gas. Yeah, so that's why she stopped. But that was it. That was it. But yeah.
So your movement was monitored for a year. And you had to try to predict where you were going to be a week in advance.
Yes, I had to tell them where I was going to be in a week.
How'd you know where you were going to be?
Well, I didn't. You know, that's how,
You playing library,
yeah,
job,
just play.
you know,
Yeah.
Job,
looking for a
job.
job. So you be creative.
So you can move about, you know, and
But when you got out of prison, you were almost too old to get a job at 70.
yes.
Were you able to get a job?
No, I was able to get a job, but again, you know, my lifelong
Goal was to exonerate yourself.
right, and it hadn't been done yet. So
And the difficult part for Eddie to try to exonerate himself is that for some unknown reason, there's no trial transcript of what happened. And most of the witnesses or people that knew anything about the case are dead. He has people out in the free world who have tried to help him, but there's no record, which is really unheard of when someone gets a life sentence, or 99 years, gets 99 years, that the record is destroyed. Nobody can find it. And so, you know, without reading the trial transcript, there's nothing for him to show to prove the fault that happened in the case. So that's one of Eddie's big holdups. Everybody's been trying to help him look for that record.
Well, that's so great about this platform you created, Vivian, because it does give my brother an opportunity to tell his story. And
Right.
it's not in front of a jury, but it's in front of your peers, and we hear you. So I know that's not the same, but I think for me, you being alive is a bigger exoneration you could have ever got, to live to be able to tell the story versus, and I still hope you find what you're looking for, but I'm just glad to celebrate you being here.
yes, I am glad being here because, like I said, since the day I knew that I was wanted for this crime, I've been trying to get my story out. And I thank Mr. King for allowing that to happen. This is the first time that I've ever had the opportunity to tell the true story, the right story, other than the story that has been put out. Because they told several different stories, like we was talking about earlier, but they said the guy was shot in the head with a shotgun, but you saw the pictures. If he'd have been shot in the head with a shotgun, his head, he probably wouldn't have a head. And the investigative report said he was shot under the cheek, under the right eye, I think. And they believed the bullet was still in his head. So they painted the picture that he was shot with a shotgun because I had done 9 months in jail on a shotgun possession. So they tied that to me as if said it was a shotgun. So it was quite a bit of lies that was told. So I'm confident that's why the trial transcript was destroyed, to keep to cover this thing up as much as possible.
I don't know what to say about that. This is the first time in my 31 years I've experienced in criminal law, I've experienced no transcript.
Yes.
So I don't know where to go from here. We've had some people look for it, but it's not there. The district clerk is the keeper of the records, and it says their records show that the trial transcript was destroyed.
Yes, but I'm just, like I was saying earlier, the key to all of this is Detective Carl Kent. If he hadn't gotten involved, I wouldn't have done all this time. I wouldn't have even been convicted. I wouldn't have even had a trial.
I don't know if we asked this question. Did you have any children before you went to prison?
Yeah, I had 3.
Tell us about where they are now and give them a shout out.
Well, I have one now. That's a girl. And the 2 boys, she's a middle girl. She was in the middle. Both of them are deceased now. Yeah.
So tell me what happened to your children.
Well, like my son, the oldest one, AIDS got him.
AIDS, okay.
And then my youngest son, the one I was speaking about,
One car accident.
yeah, that January, after January 17th in 2017, we had that hard freeze.
Right.
And he was leaving the club alone, and everybody used to tell me how fast he'd drive. And he was hit some black ice.
Oh.
And this was about 4 o'clock in the morning. And it was about 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, somebody passed by and saw him. And when the paramedics got to him, he was still alive, but he didn't make it.
How old was he?
This was 17, and he was 44. Well, he would have been 44. He was 43. He's been 44 in May.
So there's your daughter left.
Yes.
What is your relationship with her today?
Solid as a rock.
Wow. So how did you keep being in prison 36 years? How did you maintain or create a good relationship with her when you got out in 2016?
Through correspondence. I kept writing.
You wrote her through the years?
Yes.
Wow, okay. And how old is she now?
She just had a birthday in November, so she's 55.
Okay. Did she ever have kids?
And she has a son.
So you're a pawpaw.
Yes. Well, I'm a pawpaw 3 times. The last boy I had, my youngest son, he had twins, paternal twins. They're not identical twins. And they live in South Carolina. Then my mom moved to North Carolina. So yeah, I got 3 grandkids.
I see that smile. I see that pawpaw smile
Yeah.
on your face.
Yeah, I got 3 of them.
And you said your daughter had a son. And do you know do you have a relationship with your grandson?
Oh yes. She's spot on with that.
You have a beautiful relationship with your nephew. So that's your sister's son?
Yeah, exactly.
So he brings you up to the studio. Do you drive?
Yeah, I drive, but nighttime, for some reason, I can't see.
Me either.
Yeah. Those lights and sort of blind me, so.
I mean, being in jail for 26 years, how did
36.
you... I'm sorry, 26. I know, excuse me.
Give me my
36
10.
years. Yeah, you're giving me my 10. Yeah, no, 36 is a long time. 36 years, how was driving getting out? Cars had changed so much in 36 years.
Cars have changed, moving a lot faster, and my driving, I had to reacquaint myself with driving, so.
You better in Houston. You got to have some driving skills in Houston.
Yeah, because I was telling my nephew tonight, a guy almost crashed me the other day, 2 days ago, and I just knew he was going to crash me, and I'm bracing for the impact, but he didn't. But there's some
bad drivers, especially now with the phones and the GPS. I work downtown, and so downtown is so many accidents. It'll be, 4 lanes or 5 lanes, and people will go, one-way street, and they'll go, you here, and they'll come this lane and to turn all the way over there because they're looking at their phone and realize they need to turn. And you got to look out for them. It's crazy.
It is.
It's a crazy world, especially since everybody's on their phones.
It is,
Well,
Downtown, because people don't understand all the
one-ways.
The one-ways.
The one-ways,
Right.
in order for me to take the road test, I had to look at a film,
Right.
and they talk about,
Distracted driving.
and they talk about the cell phone, and they show how many accidents people have had while looking down at a cell phone. My brother, granddaughter, got killed because she was looking down at her cell phone. And she looked up, it was a head-on collision.
So you've been out 7 years. I know you're on parole forever. Were you able to get reacquainted with the dating game? I mean, you were 70 years old, so I know that's kind of old to date. Or was that like, oh, forget it, I missed out on that, forget it, or do I have to try to make up for lost time? I mean, what was your attitude about that?
Well, I didn't even concern myself with that.
Okay, yeah, I would think not. And Danny suggests against that. One of his teachings to people that recently to get out of prison is to
Avoid relationships.
Avoid relationships. That's
For that
one.
first year, because there's so many other things relationships has such a big responsibility.
Yes, it is.
And
Yes,
if I'm on a monitor and I can't move around, I don't have no job, I'm trying to reacquaint my life. To be in a relationship is just complicating the process of starting over again.
Well, I see a ring on your left married finger, so that's what made me ask you that.
yes. I got involved in I got married, but like I say, I had no intentions of getting married, but I thought I had some support, and some, and I said, well, this is who I'm supposed to be with, because through the conversations that we had, I felt like God had put us together, and and so far, we still married, we haven't divorced, but she can't deal with the fact that I'm dealing with this.
I see. So you can't really move forward because you're still trying to exonerate yourself. So.
And I explained that to her before
She wants you to let it go?
Well, she don't want me to let it go, but she wants more of my time.
Okay.
And I can't give her that, and trying to clear my name, because I don't want to return to prison for no kind of minor infraction or nothing like that. I've given them too much time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, just can't do it.
No, you can't do that. Not after 36 years. You can't give them any more time.
No.
Well, you tried. So, I mean, that's all you can do in life is try. We don't know how many days we have. We don't know how many hours we have, weeks. So we just have to do the best we can each day.
That's right.
And push forward.
And the people that hadn't been in prison have troubles with relationships, so it ain't had, that really has nothing to do with why people stay together or not stay together, and in most cases, in a lot of cases.
Well, I'm not a hard person to get along with, I can deal with, people, but just don't, just recognize my space, and then we good. I recognize your space, recognize your space, recognize my space. We good. But
relationships are difficult. They're difficult whether you've never been to prison or whether you've been to prison. Trust me, they are difficult.
Yeah.
So I understand that. So your goal, so we understand your number one goal is to exonerate yourself. Are you working with any of the Innocence Projects or any of the nonprofits that try to assist people?
I've tried so many innocent projects, and none of them have done anything. And I think I attributed that to the fact that I don't have any support. Well,
what about when you were in prison all those times? Were you able to reach out to any of these projects then to see if they had the transcripts even back, 20 years ago?
No, I didn't reach out to the Innocent Project. I filed a motion asking for the trial transcript, and they denied it. But all the Innocent Projects that I reached out to, I sent them the questionnaire, and they kept it 3-4 years. And next thing I know, I get a letter saying
they rejected it.
Yes. So I wrote I don't know how many newspapers, magazines, and trying to get them interested in my story. Nobody responded, and those that did respond, they didn't. I had one guy that was a reporter for the Houston Chronicle named Paul McKay. He showed some interest back in 1993, 94, and he had promised me that if what I was saying was true, he would do everything in his power to help me clear my name. But 2 or 3 months later, that story changed.
Do you know if he ever found the trial transcript? Did he go read it?
No, he never mentioned a trial transcript. He said
I'm just wondering, did somebody take it? Was it really destroyed, or are they saying it was destroyed because they can't find it? We've been trying to just figure that out because it's such a mystery.
Well, I think again it goes back to Detective Carl Kent. I think he knew a lot of people in the DA's office and in
They
the
buried
sheriff's
it.
office, and he got them to get rid of it because he knew what he had done, and and his confidential informant, who was a friend of mine, childhood friend. We went to school together, and from elementary all the way through to high school, and we started running the streets together. But he had started snitching. And see, Detective Carl Kent, was a patrolman in the Fifth Ward area, and he used to patrol the Fifth Ward area. And when he would come home in the evening, I think it was about 3, and everybody would just vanish off the street because they didn't want to deal with it. But some reason, some way or another, rumor got out that my childhood friend, which name was Andrew Clifton, that he had started snitching to Kent. And when years passed by, this was back in 1971 or 72, somewhere along in there. And then the years passed by, and then when I get accused of this crime, and they locked me up in January 3rd, 1980, and they locked me up for this case. And I had a friend of mine, he came down to visit with me, and he told me, he said, Fast, I saw Kent downstairs. I said, you did? He said, yeah. I said, well, go back down there and tell him I want to talk to him. So he left and went back and went down and talked to him and come back. And he said, he don't want to talk to Fast Eddie. And I was surprised, because I thought I had an ally in him. I thought maybe...
Who, you thought Andrew Clifton was your ally, or Kent?
Carl Kent. Carl Kent. I thought
the
maybe...
detective.
Yeah,
now, was he HPD detective or sheriff's department?
HPD. And I thought maybe, he was, would help me. So he told my partner, he said, I don't want to talk to Fast Eddie. So I hadn't heard no more from him. So like I said, they arrested me January 3rd. They kept me till the 5th of January 1980. And at that time, that's when I made them aware of my alibi evidence, that I had a documented alibi. I made him aware of that. And they gave me a polygraph examination. And on the 5th, they released me. And about 2-3 weeks later, I saw this guy, and he told me, he said, Fast Eddie Kent looking for you, asking about you. He wanted to know that you gone back to California. And I told him, I said, man, I'm not thinking about Kent. I thought, everything was squashed. I said, man, I'm not thinking about Kent. I took care of that. So I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know he was going to file these charges against me. So he did. But back to Andrew Clifton, after I got convicted in 80, and by Christmas time, 81, they found him dead, shot a bullet wound to the mouth out by Baytown somewhere.
That's a sign, isn't it? Somebody shoots you in the mouth.
By Baytown
Snitches
somewhere.
get stitches.
And his car was found burned in 3rd Ward. So, but like I say, all my witnesses that are in this case, they was connected to Andrew Clifton some kind of way.
So he was found in Baytown.
I don't know exactly where, but you'd have to, somebody said that's what I was told, Baytown or somewhere, going east. So, and everybody that testified against me was connected
To Clifton.
in some sort of way. The attorney that testified against me, his name was Ernest Henderson.
I never heard of him.
he worked for, Clifton worked for him. Well, Ernest Henderson, he came from Michigan. And he went to Texas Southern Law School. And Slab, that's what we call him, Andrew Clifton, we call him Slab. He met, I don't know how he met Ernest Henderson, but one day Clifton came up on the street and he introduced me to Ernest Henderson and told me that.
We got 1 minute, so we're gonna have to wrap this up. And if you got another way you want to do it, we can come on back and tell it again. So let's. I want you to have some closing words. But Danny, what are your closing remarks for tonight?
Well, again, I just want to thank you, Vivian, for creating this platform. So my brother was able to get his story out. I'm proud of the strides you made. Life out there, incarceration. You're going to help a lot of people because some think that once we have that prison experience, that we don't change and we can't come out here and live our continue of life. So I'm proud that you have been able to come out here and just live and keep living.
Yes.
Just keep living.
Thank you very much, and that I do. And you know, my closing statement is once I get my story out and exonerated, that I want to help other people that's been wrongly convicted and are still in prison. You know, and that's what I want to do, to try to bring others out, not just let them get buried, their cases being buried under the sand, so to speak, in the sand, or cases lay dormant. And
well, I hope that can happen. Have you ever met Anthony Graves?
Met Anthony Graves, and I was at Brazos book signing.
Okay. All right.
He was
in
there.
Brazos, Texas. Okay. Yep. I used to be on his board when he first started his foundation, and I know that he knows a lot about it. He was lucky, that you might know, in that he got some University of St. Thomas students. I think they might have been grad students to help him with this case.
He was lucky.
But anyway, I am being told to wrap this up. So Eddie, thank you for part 2 of your story. Thank you for listening to the Eddie Houston story, a remarkable story of a man that survived 36 years in prison for a crime that he said he didn't commit. And even though he's 77 now, he wants to commit the rest of his life to exonerating himself, trying to find the true story. Danny, thank you also for being here to talk about this. And we hope that this has enlightened you a little bit, educated you about the criminal justice system, and just helped us with an all-around understanding. We wish you the best of luck, Eddie, and we need to just enjoy every day that we're alive and free in this world. Thank you for watching. Good night.
Tonight we have something really good, a hot topic in the news this week. He's been charged with crime. This is a show where